Good morning. How are y'all doing? So for those of you who don't know, my name is Kati Morton, and I have a mental health channel on YouTube because I'm like a professional. I'm a licensed therapist. You know, like, how does that make you feel? I do that all the time. So I wanted to, before I bring up our amazing panelists, because I know you all are excited to see them, and they are all wonderful and amazing, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for getting up. For any of you watching online from live streaming, all the shares, all the tweets, you're what makes mental health important. You're the ones that tell YouTube, that tell the world that the stigma shouldn't exist, that everyone struggles. That's what we're here to talk about, right? And so I just want to thank each and every one of you, because without you, this wouldn't exist. And I'm just so pleased to have a community of people like you around us, and for all of you to get up early and to come and talk about something like mental health. So without further ado, let's bring out our amazing panelists. We have Hannah Hart.
Morning. Good morning.
And you all know TomSka, I'm sure, as well. And Beckie Jane Brown. Woo, woo, woo. You want to voice? And lastly, we have Meghan Rienks.
Woo!
Woo, woo.
Good morning, day 2. Hi, guys.
So
Thank you.
you want to start, Hannah? We'll go down like, shoo. You can tell them who you are and what issues you've talked about on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Hannah Hart. You can find me at youtube.com/Harto. If you have yet to subscribe, please do. I have discussed, I'm very happy to be on this panel. I'm very happy that this panel exists, because I, like Kati, believe that the more we talk about mental health, the sooner we can erase stigma and the better off we'll all be. So for me on my channel, I think I've talked pretty openly about like having ADHD and like dabbled in discussions of depression, etc. And anything else, really. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of books.
Oh, bufferingbook.com. Pre-order now.
Hi, I'm Tom. You can find me at youtube.com/PewDiePie. I'm a sketch comedy writer and director, but I also talk a lot about mental health issues, mostly depression, because I'm a mess. I also like the idea of destigmatizing and just talking to people and letting them know that they are not alone, and we're all broken.
Everyone struggles.
Mental health panel.
Well, hello, I'm Beckie Jane Brown. I've been vlogging about 10 years, and during that time I've had some really bad battles with mental health, so anxiety and depression, things like that. So that's been a recurring theme in my channel over time. And then in the last couple of years I've started a second channel called Trich Journal, where I document another disorder I have called trichotillomania, which also impacts my mental health as well. For me personally, I've been very open, especially the first couple of years on YouTube. I didn't really hide anything. Of course, now I'm a bit more careful, but yeah, I'm one for being honest and open and being true to who you are. Even when you're broken, you still matter, and you're still okay, so it's good to put that message out.
Hard to follow that. I'm Meghan Rienks, and I've talked about anxiety and depression and ADHD and kind of overcoming bullying and all of that stuff through high school, college, and I've been doing this for a while, so yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here. And just for anybody who is out there, you and people watching the stream, you can use the hashtag #MentalHealthVidCon for questions that we will take later. So get those in. So I guess I wanted to start the conversation about kind of what prompted any of you to start sharing your story. Was it something you'd planned? Was it something that happened organically? Where did it come from?
I kind of want to ask, what's trichotillomania?
Oh, okay. It's a bit complicated, and well done for the pronunciation. It took me a couple of years. Basically, it's similar to OCD. It's a bit complicated. You just tear out your hair. It's like an impulse control disorder. So that then makes you worry about your appearance, and once your appearance starts changing, your confidence then goes, and then that can lead to depression as well. So although it's not directly mental health, it impacts mental health as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It can be hair, eyebrows, eyelashes. Those are the most common.
Well, I feel like on that note, then, Beckie, you should be the first to
to talk.
Get into it.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
Okay, so for me, as I said, I've been documenting my life for 10 years. So when mental health happened, it was quite natural for me to open up about it. And at the time, I didn't really think anything about it. Now I see that lots of people do hide it, which for me, in the past, that would have been quite strange. But it was very natural for me to open up. And once I did, I started getting in contact with lots of other people and feeling part of a community with mental health as well. So for me, it was very natural and very easy. I know lots of people struggle to open up, but I didn't really have that problem to begin with. Now I'm a bit more nervous because you're aware of how many people are watching and audiences build, and it gets a bit scary sometimes. But yeah, that was my introduction. Somebody else take the lead.
I think that it's important, to address Katie's question. I think it's important that, I guess when we first started, sharing, or why we feel compelled to share stuff, is because I know for me, I'm a verbal processor, meaning I have to talk to understand things. I need to talk, I need to ask questions, I need to engage in a discussion. And except around my insides, and I had to figure out that I could talk about them with people, talk about these things with people, and I guess it's just about not feeling so alone. And the second you start talking about it, you realize that there are solutions, and it's not just this big, daunting thing that you have no idea how to handle. There are actually processes and systems that'll actually help you with what you're struggling with. But first, you have to identify what you're struggling with. I think that's a really important aspect of mental health, is figuring out what it is exactly you're going through. I remember when I was 25 when a psychiatrist told me I had ADHD, and I was like, is that what it is? Oh my God,
That explains so much.
But that was really I think that just giving it a name, or giving your individual struggles categories and names, really helps you figure out the right approach to overcome them. Personally, that's what I think.
I started opening up about mental health online for two reasons. One was for myself, because it was a few years ago, and as a comedy guy, it was getting harder and harder to do comedy, and I just felt paralyzed, and I needed to talk about it, and that's when I started opening up on my second channel, and just talking, and it felt so good to talk, because I was scared to talk about it because I didn't know how to talk about it with my friends. I actually, when things got really bad, I made a video for the world, for my friends to watch, because I couldn't have that individual conversation with them. I was totally paralyzed. But the other reason was because I'd already realized at this point that every time I talked about a personal issue, be it things like bullying, stuff like that, that me just sharing my story had such an impact on so many other people, and made so many other people feel less alone and less confused, and I could take my experiences and translate them for other people in a way that would benefit them. And so that I knew that it would be good for me, and it would also be good for other people. And it just seemed like kind of a no-brainer to make that transition.
Mine was pretty similar to that, in the sense of it gets to a point where it's paralyzing, and you're I don't know how to say anything else. And that's kind of how it was for me for the couple of videos where I first just was very candid about it. And the other one was for me to make sense of it, because I felt gypped, and I was like, this is unfair. Why do I feel like this? Why is this happening to me? And the only thing I could think of that was different between me and all of my friends, I'm well, I have this YouTube channel with all these people. Maybe the reason why I've been decided to go through all of this stuff is because I can actually talk about it, and it's so hard to talk about some things with your friends. For me, again, it was easier to tell strangers, and it was easier just to kind of say it and be okay, this is how I feel, and all I'm hoping is someone in the comments is oh, I understand that too, so I feel a little bit less crazy. And I think that was for me, it was kind of a realization to be okay, if I say it out loud, it's true, I'm admitting it all, and then maybe I won't feel so completely paralyzed and alone in feeling it.
Did you find anything helpful in the comments section? Because it's one thing to just to say it, but did you find any resources in response?
I found a lot of people who had gone through a very similar thing, because I got really badly bullied in college, which was so not a thing that any of my friends talked about. And so that for me, it was people being oh my God, yeah, this happened to me too, but don't worry, you're gonna find great people other places. And having other people who were really supportive of taking a break from YouTube and doing things like that. And I had a ton of people who were oh, really get into doing exercise and this kind of stuff, that it was very helpful, that the comments were really constructive and not just supportive, but people giving things that really helped them and made them feel a lot better. And even stupid little things where people are make sure you're sleeping a lot at night. And I was oh, You're right.
helps.
I'm
It
not
really
sleeping
helps.
that much. Or people were leaving funny TV shows that they were watching, like, oh, go watch this. This really cheers me up. And that kind of stuff was just nice and really simple little stuff. Because at a certain point, it's like the tiny little things that once you've got enough of those add up to feeling a little bit better. And I think it's amazing to have not just support, but like constructive help of other people who've been through it and gotten through it. So you're like, oh, okay, you did it. I can do it too.
I think that's the great thing about the online community, and that's why when I opened up, I was like, I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, because it's comments like that. It's you letting us know things that we're not aware of. Like, there's a lot of peer support available online when you feel alone, and it's funny how we're often more apt to tell strangers than we are to open up to people that we really know, because that can make us feel really vulnerable, and that can be too much. Like,
But also can make us feel really accountable.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I don't know, I'm kind of a nag. So if my friends tell me something that they're working on, I bring it up all the time, you know, because it's like, I'm like, hey, I just wanted to remind you, you said you were trying to do this. So
we need people like that, though.
I do.
But also, one thing I find is it's not just with mental health, but with YouTube in general. For a couple of years, it was literally just me and my camera, and talking to an inanimate object just allowed me to open up. Whereas I know I'm talking in front of you all right now, and it's really scary. But for me, I find it really hard talking with people one-on-one. So having that was just so freeing. So especially with stuff that you struggle with, it can be really opening talking to a camera and talking to a wall. But talking to a camera is more productive, I suppose. There you go.
Yeah, for me, it was just really nice getting some slack from my audience. Like once I actually got it out there, you know, like who I am, what I was going through. The whole community on my channel changed, and suddenly people weren't getting so mad when I wasn't uploading frequently, and also when the content got really dark, like when I'd make some really dark comedy, they'd be like, oh, okay.
They're like, we hear you.
Yeah. We know you're crying inside. And that was just kind of like that was nice and that was necessary, because YouTube had become this very divided world for me, where I just had this audience who were going more videos, and I was there going, I'm struggling, and it kind of opened up a bit more of a dialogue.
Did making the when we're saying it a lot. Are you referring to depression?
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
And so, did making the dark comedy videos help you?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if they helped me. I was doing them anyway, because the worse I get, the darker the videos get, and that's just how it is. And people are just going, what's wrong with you? And I was like, it's fine. Yeah.
Like a creative way to express what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes YouTube so cool, is I've heard from a lot of different creators, and I've heard from a lot of my viewers and everything, that creating, doing something different, expressing what's going on in the deep and dark depths of ourselves can help us feel better. And that's something that is actually a tool we use in therapy. So,
okay, I have a question.
Yes.
For you, Katie.
Hannah, yes.
I have noticed that on the internet, and this is true with WebMD in terms of my physical health, that I can pretty much type in anything and self-diagnose myself with any mental health disorder. You know? Remember what I think I had the other day? What was it? We were I thought for a while that I had like BPD, I think.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, honey. And I was like, I don't know, man. According to Tumblr, I do.
It seems like it. I've read a lot of blogs.
But what do you think about that? As a mental health professional, what do you think about, is there a line between access to information and self-diagnosis?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And it's something that I kind of fight with, I guess, because of being online and people utilizing my videos as a way to self-diagnose, which is not the point. It's more about education. And I think it's twofold. So first being, if you're feeling lost and alone and you don't know what's going on, and you're like, what is this? And, it can feel freeing to see someone like popping on my channel and hearing me talk about something and be like, I think that's it. I have a name for this like demon that's ruining things. It's ADHD, it's depression, it's anxiety, it's trichotillomania. And so whatever you can put a name to it, you're like, aha. But then go see someone, find out if that's true. See a professional. Versus, I know that not everybody has access to that, but put yourself on the list, scream to be heard. There are free clinics. There are doctors who do things pro bono. I've seen people for free. Things like that exist. I think that then you need to be properly assessed, because otherwise you're looking up tools and tricks and things to help you that may not help you. Like if you were trying to help out with your borderline personality disorder that you don't have.
How do you know, man?
I mean, DBT is helpful to everybody, but it's a type of therapy that helps with borderline. But it wouldn't be appropriate.
Right.
Getting the proper treatment.
Right, and I think that's really important that you don't let. I was broke for the majority of my life up until the last 5 years, right, and really the last 3 years. But mental health has always been something. Trying to take care of my mental health has always been at the forefront of my mind. And in college, I would go to like the free counselors you'd find there, and they weren't great. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it wasn't the best experiences, but the habit of trying to get myself help was what I was building. And so regardless of whether or not that counselor is perfect or that therapist is the right fit right away or money and this and that, it's getting into the habit of trying to get yourself help so that when you get to a point that you have more access, you'll be able to follow through. I have a friend who only does 20 minutes of therapy for because it's a free clinic, and she does 20 minutes of therapy every 2 weeks. But that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to say, because we came out here, I think we all mentioned we want to destigmatize mental health. But yeah, one of the biggest fears is that this confusion between destigmatizing and enabling other people to kind of self-diagnose. Because what we're doing when we talk about it, because we are not, well, except for Katie, we are not experts really on mental health. In fact, we're the opposite of experts, I guess. Yeah,
but we've seen. I mean, I see a therapist and a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So
and
it's like
you have experience.
When we're making our videos about our experiences, what we are trying to do is share our experiences and hopefully, help people feel less alone. But usually, we are also doing this from a perspective of we have been to a doctor and we've had a kind of more of a formal diagnosis. We would all definitely encourage that if you feel like something we've said struck a chord, that's not where it should end. It shouldn't end with like, oh yeah, like that's me. Cool. The next step should be
right. It's like, oh, Tom has depression. I have depression.
Period.
Well, it's not going away.
Oh, look, a cat video. Yeah, like the next step, if is to then ideally go to some kind of professional. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Because getting the proper treatment can make a world of difference, and finding out that you're not alone, I think, is important, and that's like the first step, and recognizing maybe what it is, and then seeing someone, and then doing the work.
Also, there's all these alternative methods online. I don't know why I'm up on this right now, but I am. It's just like, I think it's such a marvelous era that so many of you are growing up in. I would have been so grateful to be able to watch videos online that could help me do breathing exercises for anxiety, or to learn more about how the mind works and what is and isn't in your control. Like there's such a plethora, a smorgasbord of information out there, which even if you have had a private diagnosis, you don't have to, continue to see an expensive person all the time, but at least once you have that direction to gain information from, there's books, there's podcasts, there's YouTube, there's TomSka comedy. But I just think that's, I don't know, it's at your fingertips, which is so marvelous.
Oh, it's wonderful. If teenage me had these resources, the suffering that could have been avoided. So I guess that kind of moves into just a question. Actually, it's a little off topic of what I told you I would ask. But I hear from a lot of my viewers, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are wondering, what is it like to see someone? People get scared. They're worried that seeing a therapist, seeing a psychiatrist is just going to be icky, or they won't know what to say. I hear a lot of people say my anxiety gets so out of control. I just boo, can't remember.
Do you mean how does it feel like to be an audience member or a family member watching? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean when you go to get professional help, what was the first appointment like?
Sorry, what's the last
first
thing?
appointment? When you went to see someone to get help.
Cool. I've had a bit of a ride. So I've had the Trich and the depression side by side, and it took many, many years to get diagnosed. I mean, now things are pretty different, but for me personally, in my own battle, it took a while, and that really put me off with help. I know people that have been diagnosed in months, whereas I took years. So I need to stress that it has changed since I went through, but not everyone has been even in the medical field, not everyone has been supported. But what we said earlier about continuing to try and get help, just because that doctor over there was nasty or rude or just turned you away doesn't mean that one won't. So finally, after years, I'm currently with a doctor that's actually being quite helpful, which is fantastic. But yeah, it took a while.
And you know your body and your mind very well. Like I remember when I was first put on this ADHD medication called Vyvanse, and it messed me up. Like it really like blunted me out. It just kind of really just like made me like, and I didn't like it. And I kept going to the psychiatrist, being like, I really don't like this stuff. I don't think it's working well. And she's like, do you need more? I was like, what?
Yeah, like same. Like I'd love to be able to get up, and I don't like that. I feel like this question isn't going quite the way as it should be, but I would love to be able to get up here and say like, yeah, no, like don't be scared. Go to the doctor. It's all going to be 100% fine. But like therapists, much like medication, not necessarily the first one is going to be the right fit. My first therapist and I just didn't get on, and eventually she just stopped answering the phone. It was like, cool, man.
Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes,
You found someone now, though, yeah? You're on the pathway to finding somebody else.
I'm on the way to finding someone else.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting
Yeah,
it.
that's where I'll say this. But I guess a better way for me would be to compare it to medication, where it's like I went on some medication, it wasn't working, the dosage went up, then they changed me to something else, and then the dosage went up again, and it was just making me worse and worse and worse, and then eventually, and now I'm actually back to the first medication that they've ever put me on a low dosage, and I'm so much better. But I think I needed to go on that little journey of trying things, figuring out how I feel, what works for my body, what works for me as a person, and that was a big factor. So I'd love to, ideally it would be great that, like, it's step one, go get help. Step two, you've got help. But because I think it would be quite crushing if we tell people, like, it'll definitely be fine the second, you go and get help. The first step will be so great, because then if it isn't perfect, it's going to be, like, really scary. But I think it's just good to be prepared that sometimes it may not be the perfect fit straight away, but you will find one.
Yeah,
You just got to keep trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always encourage people, I'm like, sometimes we have to scream to be heard. And I know it sucks, because by the time we're actually speaking up, that means we could be in a real dark place. But there is help out there. And just like any job, some people are bad at their jobs. Like that therapist. And I always tell my people too, like all my viewers, I'm like, you might not click. It's like dating. You don't always want the first person that you meet. So go around till you feel that click, because statistically speaking, we know that the relationship is the most important thing with your treatment team, I call them, like your therapist, your psychiatrist. We need to feel that they hear us, and we need to feel that they understand us and they're working with us. So make sure you have that.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've recently found that some people, like, I've always been big on, like, doing talk therapy, and the type of talk therapy, the form of talk therapy I do that really works for me is called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's like a systems pattern-based, like, really trying to help you undo patterns that you have in your head type of therapy, and that's been, the best. But I heard the other day, this person I met, they never saw a therapist at all and just took themselves straight to a psychiatrist. And I thought, is that common? I mean, hey, no judging, but like, thought that was interesting.
Well, maybe first, like, Katie, could you maybe explain the difference between the different types, like therapist, psychotherapist, psychiatrist? Because even I don't really know that much.
There's a lot of terms, and a lot of them mean the same thing. So therapist, social worker, psychotherapist is essentially what I do, is just talk therapy, which is what Hannah's addressing. Like you would see them, and I'm like, how are you doing this week? And we talk for about an hour. So those are those terms. Psychiatrist is a medical doctor. They're the ones that prescribe medication. They went to medical school. Your therapist should not tell you what medication you should be on. I didn't go to medical school. That's totally illegal, for lack of a better term. They call it out of your scope of practice. And then psychologist, talk therapist as well. They just have a higher degree. A lot of times they do research and stuff like that. Is that clear? I know that it's like makes sense in my head, but
Makes
I
sense to
also
me.
like live it. So. Yeah,
Oh,
the
my question was,
psychiatrist.
what do you think? Okay, starting from scratch, is there a proper order of events to getting help? Is my question.
In a perfect world, yes. It would be best to go to see a therapist first, because often talk therapy is enough. Like, just so you know, for a lot of people, CBT, what Hannah's talking about, like certain types of therapy are enough. They help. We give behavioral techniques, you work it, but for everybody, like, or some people are really struggling, they're not able to do the things that their therapist asks them to do because they're too sick. It's like if you went to your doctor because you had the flu and they're like, here's a Band-Aid, put that on your nose that's running. And you're like, that's not gonna do shit. So sometimes we have to go on to see someone else who can actually give us medication in order to get us up. I talk about it on my channel, like we're like drowning, and sometimes you need medication to like get above the water so then you can actually start swimming, because otherwise we might not be able to. So the proper order would be therapist, psychiatrist, also medical doctor, because some things can be caused by medical conditions, and then back to your therapist, because you don't really have to see your psychiatrist that often, but your therapist can check in with him, make sure everything's cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this question myself. And when Hannah emailed me back, she was like, look out. And it is, what would be the advice that you would give to your 15-year-old self?
I forgot what I wrote in that email.
You didn't write, you were like, just wait for this one.
Oh, God.
But I think it's important sometimes looking back, we can think of all the things that we should have done.
Hindsight can be a very beneficial and frustrating thing, though. That's the thing.
Totally.
So if I hadn't have gone through what I did, or if I hadn't have shared what I have done, then I wouldn't be in this position right now. So it's very easy to say, don't share, or go to your doctor, or say this, but I wouldn't be where I am now. I think generally, go to your doctor and keep trying. For me, there was a period where I sort of stopped and was adamant that I wasn't going to get any help. No one was helping me. I was going to do it on my own. So yeah, that'd probably be the one thing. Just keep trying. And keep swimming. Let's just think of Finding Dory. Keep swimming.
Yeah.
I just wish I talked more. I feel like that was a thing. I think especially at when you're like a young teen or that kind of stuff, it's like you feel, you're going through puberty and all of that stuff, and you feel so like, this is my world, like this is my body, I'm the only one feeling and going through these things, that I wish I'd even just talked to my friends more about stuff and kind of made that conversation more open, because by the time that I got to college and I was all alone and all of these things just kind of piled up, I was like, oh my God, I have nobody to talk to. So I kind of just wish that at least for me at that age, I'd been not necessarily, I think it's so hard to be self-aware, but at least give myself a little bit, try a little bit harder to think about how I'm feeling, and not just thinking about my grades and thinking about the SATs and that kind of stuff, because you're on this track that's school and it's friends and it's family and it's a part-time job and it's all that stuff, that I don't think you think about yourself a lot until you're literally left alone by yourself, which is a really scary thing. So being able to think about yourself and be self-aware and understand when you're feeling things, and tying them back to whether you're stressed out over a test or you're stressed out over nothing. I had so many friends who didn't go see therapists or psychiatrists or anything like that until college, because they realized that some of these things that they just would quickly blame on it's just me being a teenager, it's just me being a teenager, wasn't necessarily that.
Yeah, you want to hear something funny? My little sister has type 1 diabetes, and they thought she was just being moody.
What?
The doctor literally asked if she was pregnant. And she was like, no, and then they took her blood, and they're like, oh, just kidding, your blood's turning to acid. Isn't that wild? That's the thing about you having to scream to be heard. They're like, oh, you're just a moody teenager, sleeping all the time, being such mood swings. It's like, no, it's that your body can't process sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really glad you brought up that medical doctor thing, and and then also it's so easy to quickly dismiss things, because I think in our country, and in a lot of countries, we have this idea that admitting you need help is a form of weakness, which is just so bizarre, because I can't think of anything stronger than admitting that you need help.
It's easy to just ignore.
Right.
Oh. That's true. What about you, Tom? 15-year-old Tom?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't really get dark until I was about 22. So 15-year-old me, I'd just be like, you're about to discover this thing called 4chan. Don't. No, I think yeah, really, it would boil down to, if I could talk to myself, I would just say, don't be scared of going to get help. And also, yes, it is all in your head, but that doesn't make it not real.
Yeah.
Can I get a bigger clap than Hannah got? I'm winning. I need this. Validation. No. No. It would be I think that I just took this mindset that was like, I can overcome any problem, because I've also struggled with my weight, and I've very much always had the mindset, which is that I should just be able to overcome this. I can just do this. Like, I'm just being lazy, and that's why it's not happening. And for my weight, I think that is true. But for my mental health, I took the same approach, and it took me a long time to realize, like, okay, this isn't getting better just from doing nothing, just from hoping for the best. And it was only when I started doing something about it, which took about a year. And in that year, I ruined most of my friendships. So it would just
Not me.
You can do
I'm
it.
still here.
Yeah? Hey, man.
And you're awesome.
It's good seeing you. Quite far away. Stay there. But
Well,
yeah.
it's interesting you talk about like things getting better. I feel like we also manifest the same coping mechanisms in different ways, unhealthy coping mechanisms. I mean, my 15-year-old self, I'm going to be totally blunt here. Like, I punched things a lot, like when I was younger. I had a really hard time with I didn't even know if you can call, it probably was self-harm. I struggled with that. And I struggled with that in my teenage years. And then when I got older, and I found different ways to be self-destructive that weren't, as obvious and direct, but it's still the same. It's a manifestation of the same impulse, and it can just be ruining all your grades, or never going to work, and just different ways of just kind of destructive behavior in your life, like dating the wrong people, like all these kind of things that you do to hurt yourself. But since I wasn't actually physically hurting myself anymore, I thought, oh, good thing I'm past that. Yeah.
Well, I spent so much time not dealing with it, not getting help, that I developed a bit of an issue with self-medicating through alcohol, because I spent so much time being like, it's fine, I can get over this myself. I'm gonna drink a beer. I'm gonna drink 70 beers, and the shop's run out of beer. I'm gonna go to the next shop and get more beer. But that was actually, I spent so much time not dealing with it that I found other ways to deal with it that were obviously so much worse.
So many people cope with their anxiety through drinking.
Yeah.
It's just social anxiety, and it sucks because that's not that's not teaching you anything. It's not even really numbing you out. It's just making it worse.
Yeah, but it's common. Don't think you're alone. Obviously, we're talking about it. And the interesting thing is if there is something wrong, it finds its way out. And, I mean, if I could give myself advice as a kid, because, I'm in therapy. I always tell my people, I have a therapist. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think as a kid, for me, it was hard to trust what I felt. And I heard, a lot of people saying, Meghan was like, well, is it just me being a teenager or not? And I hear that a lot from my viewers. And, yeah, being a teenager sucks. You couldn't pay me money to go back and do it again. That's self-destructive. Are we selfing? But I think that the sooner we start trusting what we feel and knowing that our experience is valid and how we feel is valid, the better off we are. Teenager, not teenager, full-grown adult, half adulting, whatever you want to call it. That's the advice that I would.
Is that you would trust yourself?
Trust, yeah. You know you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe this is going off topic a little bit, but it is important to stress that it doesn't matter how old you are or what is impacting your mental health, the way you're feeling is valid. Because sometimes it's felt as though, say for example, when I was doing GCSEs, I locked myself away and that was the end of the world. Looking back, that was the biggest thing in my life. Whereas now things like cancer, that's a big part of my life right now, there's family troubles and things like that. Different people have different troubles. So yeah, don't feel like your problems don't matter, because they do. They definitely matter to you.
Yeah. And with that, we'll turn it over to questions.
Questions?
How does that work?
Questions from everybody?
Yeah, from people. We're supposed
Do we have a
to.
microphone? I feel like that's a really necessary part of this equation.
I can just hop off the edge.
Whoa. Katie, no. We need
No
you.
pun intended.
Maybe we should take it to questions in a second while we figure out how we're doing
Yeah,
questions.
okay, we'll do one more word chat, but whoever's figuring this out, let me know what I'm supposed to do to get questions to us. Okay? So get your questions ready and somebody figure that out. I guess the last question I want to talk about is just how do you feel the online community has helped or hurt with the stigma? Or do you feel like it's getting better? Obviously, I feel it's getting better. But
I find it fluctuates. I've gone through periods where there's still people being supportive no matter what happens, and thank you ever so much. But there is a general feel of sometimes it does go up and down, especially as someone that keeps going round in circles. Not that I'm not trying, but with mental health, you don't just get better and stay better. Life is a circle. Sometimes things in your life do happen and it dips. And I found that the first few times, everyone was incredibly supportive, whereas now, when I do dip, some people do get scared because they know the cycle I'm in. But I try to think about it like this. The people that are still supporting me, no matter where I am in my cycle, those are the people that matter because they care no matter who I am. The people that are here temporarily, they don't matter. So yeah, it does fluctuate for me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support, by the way. I do really appreciate it. That sounded a bit negative.
Round of applause for yourselves. I think I touched on it earlier, and that is that I think, yes, we do help decrease stigma, but we do also potentially run the risk of encouraging people to self-diagnose a lot. And again, I just want to stress, we are people that experience these things, and we discuss and we talk about them, but we are not the experts. So again, do go to the doctors. Go to big old doc. Sup, doc? I'm nuts. It's a good plan. Give it a shot.
That's a good commercial.
Thanks,
That's
man.
good. That's
Thanks,
good.
guys.
I just thought of. I think you can just check the hashtag on your phone.
Oh.
Under Twitter because we've been saying.
I'm pretty
tweet your
good to dive
questions.
into the audience and just throw a mic around. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh yeah, go for it, Tom.
I mean,
coming,
'cause,
guys.
they're here and all.
Anyone wants to ask a question,
One
get in
from
that
the
middle
audience
bit.
and then one from Twitter. Toggle back and forth. I'll open.
Oh, there's no steps there. Oh, there's too many. There's too many of this. Oh, gosh. All right, okay. Yep, it's your turn.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name's Tia, and I have a question for Hannah. I know that you're a very relatively positive person whenever you upload a video and with anything you do. And whenever you're having a bad day or you're just not feeling that well, does it ever make you angry when you see people, whether online or in person, they don't have any mental issues and they just go about their life thinking that little things are the biggest problem for them when there's so many other things that are a lot worse off?
That's an interesting question. I wouldn't say. I mean, I think when I was younger, yeah. I think when I was younger, I would be going through some very difficult things in my life, and then my friends in high school would be complaining about, like, oh, my mom only gave me $20 for the movies. And I'd be like, cool, the cops came to my house. So I think when I was younger, yes, but that's kind of something that the more you heal about your situation, the less anger you'll project onto others. I like to do this analogy of you're at a park and a kid gets slapped and a kid gets punched, and they both come running towards you looking for a hug. Are you going to be like, slapped kid, get the fuck out of here? Oh my God, punched kid. No, you're going to hug both of them. So we really can't rate everyone has trauma. Everyone in this room has trauma. It's all different. And we can't judge each other's trauma. We can only judge each other's treatment of the way they treat you. So if this person's being good to you, then you can be good to them.
Comparison ruins everything.
I'm over here now. We have a question from Kiara.
Hello.
Hi.
So I had a question because I feel like anxiety has been kind of something that I've dealt with, especially like existential sort of fears and stuff like that. And I feel like maybe you guys would be an excellent group of people to ask about methods that you found really helped deal with something like that, like just fears and...
Okay, so yesterday, if anyone saw me yesterday, I was shaking very, very badly. I've been battling anxiety quite full on for a couple of months now. So yesterday was a really, really bad day. So what I did was I did my panel, I then went back to my room, and I took some time for myself. I watched my favorite film, Ever After. Yes. And I just sort of calmed down, and then I went back out. I sort of phrase it as saying I charged my batteries. That's a very short-term thing. Again, I mean, going back to medication, going to your doctor and having a bit of a chat with them, because there are, medication isn't the right thing for everybody, but some medication can help. So that's another port of call. But the main thing is taking some time for yourself. Don't feel like you have to put yourself into all these situations and you're not strong because you're struggling. No, some of us just need more battery time, if that makes sense.
Just to jump on that, I suffer from general anxiety and crowd anxiety. So the thing with that is you have to find what works for you. And there's some people who are like, push yourself, like get out there. And there's some times when that is like a glimmer of hope and you're like, you know what, I can do it. And you feel strong enough to do it. But it's also so okay to not feel strong enough to do it and to be like, assess the situation and be like, okay, either I can handle this or I can't. And either way, that's fine. That doesn't mean if I can't handle it, that's bad. It just means that you're being so self-aware that you know that. And like, there's times like I had to leave Coachella because I started hyperventilating. And like, I spent way too much money on these tickets to come here. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. But at the end of the day, I'm like, if I'm giving myself the luxury of being like, you know what? I'm okay with not doing this and knowing that it's gonna be fine and getting rid of my FOMO and fear of missing out and realizing that it's so much better for me to be able to breathe deeply and to be able to live the rest of my week without feeling shaking all day. That's okay. And it's okay to push yourself, but it's also equally as strong to not push yourself and not go too far and then completely break down in public, which I've also done, which is not fun. So I think it's important about, and then knowing little things. Like for me, it's like if I start feeling really stressed out, I have like a favorite sweatshirt that I put on. And things like that it's like, even if it sounds something that's like so little or so dumb, or a TV show or a movie that you automatically put on and it just puts you at ease. I watch the Food Network mindlessly on repeat, and it's just like the pioneer woman cooking lasagna, and I feel a lot better.
The how-to videos as well on YouTube, where they make things in a couple of minutes. I love them. I just sit watching them at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
BuzzFeed
really
tasty
helps.
videos just over and over and over again. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel good. I feel good.
Well, something I found has been really, really helpful, and I cannot stress this enough. There's an app called Headspace. It's a meditation app. You can start with a 10-day challenge, and it's 10 minutes a day for 10 days, and it's a really phenomenal, totally secular guided meditation app that is really, really, really good. I use it every day. I try to use it every day. On days that I don't use it, I'm like, oh wow, I definitely feel it today. And also, I'm a big believer in like totems. Like I have like a rock I carry in my pocket if I'm doing something hard that day, and I rub it.
To touch on the whole self-care thing, I think it is important to embrace the down days a lot because they do happen. Sometimes you just have a day that's just broken. Like this day is done, and I've wound up doing a lot of damage to myself trying to push through.
Yeah.
Hi cameras, I'm over here. Trying to push through the down days. But yeah, it's not bad to sometimes be like, I'm just gonna play video games today. I'm just gonna watch Netflix today. I'm gonna do sweet FA because it's done. This day sucks. Just sometimes you just gotta wash it over. You just let it wash over you.
You need the bad days to help you experience the good. If you didn't have the bad days, you wouldn't know.
Give yourself permission, So we'll do one more question from them, and then I'll hop on Twitter.
I'm sorry everyone else who didn't get a question answered.
Put it on Twitter.
Okay, so my question is, do you have general advice for finding people or communities or support groups where you can talk safely about mental health and your struggles and get advice from other people in your community?
KatiMorton.com.
KatiMorton.com.
Or my YouTube channel.
No, but Katie, you've been super helpful in my life, you know? Like, truly, like, I mean, not just to, like, talk about your channel, but, like, you know, Katie really knows what she's talking about, and I think that's one of the things that, like, we need more mental health vloggers who are trained professionals, because I can get up there and talk about depression and be like, I'm on Wellbutrin, and, like, talk about medication and all these things, like, vaguely, but I'm, you know, as Tom was saying earlier, we're not experts. So I do think you are a resource. I would count you as one. And then other online communities, specifically, I don't know, actually. There
are a few, and you guys can let me know if there are any that you hop into, but 7 Cups of Tea is great for peer support. A lot of my viewers use them and say it's great, and a lot of them are actually on there talking, and this is like peer support, not professional support. But they're 24/7. Also, that's why I said my website, because there's chat on there. It's 24/7, and I have moderators that I've, given permission to keep it safe. And also, I think there's some Facebook groups and stuff depending on your issue, and a lot of them are like specific to an issue. And so you can hop around on there and find one. those are the ones that come to mind
I mean,
that I've heard.
Oh, sorry. No. Sorry. I mean, Facebook for me, I get really nervous. I don't mind talking about my trichotillomania, but when it comes to mental health, I now like to sort of keep it a little bit more private. And there's one place that I love, and it's run by Mind Charity in the UK, and it's called Ellie Friends, so ELLE Friends. It's basically just like Facebook, but the difference is you're allowed to be anonymous. So you can give yourself a fake name, and you don't have to upload a profile picture. Sometimes you have to be a little bit careful, of course, because once everyone goes under anonymous, some people really do open up, and you have to look after yourself as well. But if you're somebody that, not that I'm saying you're famous or anything like that, but if you're somebody that does want some anonymity, oh, here we go, anonymity, you know what I mean, then that's a really good place to go. So, yeah.
In talking about like some friends and support groups, when I started being more open about my mental health issues, and also when I started struggling more, I kind of realized the kind of friends I want in my life. And I had sort of two camps of friends. One group, when I talk about mental health, they'd be like, they'd be sympathetic, and then maybe they'd try and encourage me, they'd try to distract me, try to encourage me to do other things. They'd be friends. And then I had another group of friends that would try to one-up me. I'd be like, I'm feeling really depressed today. I was like, well, I'm feeling more depressed. Here's how my problem's big. I got big problems. I didn't want those friends anymore.
Toxic friends.
Those were people who were toxic. They were toxic people because they took my struggles as almost a challenge. And they did nothing to help me as a person. They did nothing to support or encourage me. They were just very fine with me being miserable and them being miserable. And that wasn't a good environment to be in at all.
You want to surround yourself with people that help you strive to be better. Like me, I would say all my friends, my close friends, we all talk about our wellness, and we all encourage each other to work on that and pay attention to that. If you have friends that are, even if you have good friends who maybe are being a little too callous with sensitive subjects, just let them know. Teach them how to talk to you. We all talk to each other differently. Like, I'm somebody who wants I want the opinions. I want you to give me advice. I want your feedback. But some people just want you to listen and ask questions. Yep. So you have to know how you receive communication, how you receive information, so you can teach your friends how to talk to you.
Yeah, and I think that that's part of like taking your own responsibility for scenarios, because a lot of times I'll hear from people that are like, this person's really frustrating me and they've been pulling me down and they did this and they abandoned me at this situation. And I'm like, you need to talk to them. We have to teach people how to treat us. If they don't listen, then they fall into kind of the toxic realm. But we are responsible for letting them know, because they may have no idea. Everybody communicates differently. Everybody's offended over different things. Let them know. It's okay to talk. So I'm taking a question from Twitter. Are we okay to move on? Okay, I thought this was a good one. It says, it's from Anais Blinn. I might be saying that wrong, and I apologize. What do you do if you want to talk openly with the people around you about mental health, but they tell you that you shouldn't because blank, 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 fill in the blank, like...
Find somebody else to talk to. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I definitely, when I was going through stuff, even when I was older, I had people be like, no. This is like, even the people in your life who are supposed to like unconditionally listen to you and that kind of stuff. And like, sometimes your parents aren't gonna get it. And sometimes your best friends aren't gonna get it. But I think the whole thing, and my whole thing when I've talked about it in videos, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. And I think the biggest thing is, it's also to tell, if the first person doesn't listen to you, find somebody who will. And it's a matter of, even if it's that same person, you keep repeating it and you keep talking to somebody until they listen. Because not everybody, again, everyone's threshold for pain and threshold for trauma is their world is their own body and what they've experienced. So nobody can be inside your head. And it's a matter of, sometimes it's really hard to put what it is to words. And I did a video about anxiety where it was more of like a spoken word kind of thing, because I was like, I don't know how to like explain what it's like to be anxious, because it feels like bees in my head. And my parents are like, what does bees in your head mean?
That was a great video, by the way, if you guys haven't watched it. What anxiety feels like, I think it's called.
Yeah, so I think that kind of stuff, it's like, if people don't want to hear it, then somebody out there somewhere will want to hear it and will want to help, but it's a matter of you can't give up after the first person says that, because people feel, honestly, sometimes people feel really uncomfortable with very intense personal problems that you might have or feelings that you might have. It's freaky. When I was younger and I had a friend who was really depressed, I was 11. I had no idea what to do. And that's also okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people, but it means you can't give up if one person doesn't listen.
Right, and you can't spend the rest of your life thinking everyone is going to respond the way your 11-year-old friend did.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a big part of this is that we project the negative response that we got in the beginning of our lives onto other people, and we're anticipating them to let you down and not be able to listen. Well, unfortunately, you have to give them the chance to let you down and see if they do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think continuing on from that though, sometimes, see, it's hard to get the context of the question. Sometimes it's very easy for us to say, you know, go find different people to talk to, but sometimes it's the people in your immediate surroundings, like families or brothers and sisters, things like that. You can't speak to them or they don't understand. I know from my experience, people very, very close to me for years didn't really understand until they went through it. And then suddenly the light bulb came on and they were like, Rebecca, I'm sorry, I understand now, let's talk. In those sorts of situations, it's very, very hard. And what I'd say is try your best to keep going. If you can't talk to your family, see if you can talk to other people like your friends or talk to somebody at your school, college, high school, whatever it's called out here. There are people around you that do care. And also, if your family don't care, that doesn't necessarily mean they don't love you. That sounds really strange to say it like that. But yeah, some people just don't understand mental health until they've been through it.
Yeah, no, totally. Just like allergies, toxic people to you aren't necessarily bad people. They're just toxic to you. Your relationship is not good. It's not working. It's not gelling. It's not beneficial for either of you. But you know, I don't think the beetroot is inherently evil, but it's not good for me. Yeah. So, I took a while when I wrote off like so many people in my life. I was like, oh, they're just bad people. They're just crappy people. And over time, I've realized like, no, they're not. They're just not right for me, and I wasn't right for them.
I really like that analogy. I wish I'd known that when I put out my
Steal
toxic people. Yeah, I will. I have your permission.
Yay! Hey guys, I got 2 applauses now. Step it up.
But yeah, I think it's important to know that toxic people aren't bad, that it just depends on the person. And with regard to like telling people and talking to people about it and feeling like they don't care or they don't know how to help or something, I feel like kind of even going back to what Hannah was saying and like it's our job to communicate that to them. I find that we struggle the most with telling people in our lives what's going on because we don't always know how to verbalize it. And something that's helped some of my clients is breaking it down by saying, what is it I'm going through in the most succinct fashion? And the thing that people usually want to know, what do I need from them? Why am I telling them? Is there something that I need for them to do? Is it just, listen to me, I don't need you to fix it, or I'd really just like you to check in with me? We need to know what it is we're asking of them because I find at that point, people will surprise you. They often just don't know what you want or they don't know how to respond. And so if we tell them, hey, you know, I've been feeling really down, I'm kind of going in this dark space where I feel depressed, and so what I need from you is I need you to just check in with me. That makes me feel better. Remind me to shower. And then they can do that, and then we can move forward. So, okay, on to the next one.
There's so many questions. It's fantastic. I've been looking as well. I'm not on Twitter. No, I am on Twitter, but I'm not like doing social media and stuff. There's so many.
Okay.
We have like 3 minutes left.
We have, yeah, one more question, right? One more question. Nobody gave me the warning. I don't know. Yes? Okay. So, okay, this is a good question. It says, it's from Logan at VidCon, and it says, have your mental health issues affected your relationships? If so, how do you fix them?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
The reason I first went to a psychiatrist is that I would find myself getting into, and relationships can also be like your family relationships and whatnot, but one of the elements of ADHD is like hyperfocus. And so it's not only is it like inconsistent focus, but it's also hyper-focus. And so I get into these arguments where I would just spin and spin and spin and spin and not be able to let go and not be able to let go, and you don't understand me enough, it's not enough, and just it was totally outside of my control because there was nothing else I could think about but this argument that we were having. So I would, you know, have to remove myself from the situation, like go take a walk, and maybe that'll help, like cool down, come back, try and... You told me once, think about something else for 30 seconds to change your focus. Yeah. That's huge. But yeah, having ADHD, can make you really disorganized, can make you flaky. It's not flaky, it's just overcommitting. But it can leave a negative impression. So learning how to self-organize and manage that better has helped my relationships feel like they are more respectful.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to disrespect them, but I have to respect how the way my brain works.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I mean, again, what we said earlier, sorry for repetition, about how if something's not working with a partner, it's not meant to be. If they can't respect you for who you are or understand that although you're broken, you're trying to fix yourself, they're not supposed to be with you. You need to find people that care and love you for who you are. And again, that's easier said than done, because when you're in a relationship, the person you're with is like your world, and it's very hard to let go of them. But from my experiences, I've learned that if they don't care or don't appreciate, then they're not for me. They need to find somebody else, or I need to find somebody else. There's always someone out there that's waiting and loves you for who you are. Just takes time to find them. Like the doctor, takes time to find them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and I think the right person in your life, whether that's like friends, relationship, all that kind of stuff, they're not going to make your baggage feel like baggage. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like this is a list of things that are wrong with me. These are the things that I have to deal with. It's not like this is something that you come with. It's just, that's you. And I think that's the greatest thing, is realizing eventually that you will find somebody where your baggage isn't baggage, that's just already attached to you. Like, those are your hands, those are your feet. It's not like you're carrying all of this stuff. Like, that's just how you are. And I think that's the greatest thing, and that exists. Like, you will find that. Like, you might be, whether there's dating toxic people who make you feel guilty for the things that you feel, and you spend so much time feeling, it can feel selfish, and it can feel selfish for that same kind of thing. Same thing with having crippling ADHD. It makes you feel like you're so self-obsessed because you're focusing on getting certain things done, because otherwise you just look like a scatterbrain. There's going to be people who not only love you for like your flaws, but they don't see them as anything other than what you were built like.
Yeah, than you, and I love you for you. So thank you all for all of your wonderful
Thank
input,
you,
and thank you for all of you.
Oh, so good.
And let's keep the conversation going. There are tons of questions on Twitter. Chat with your fellow people, and we will see you later.
Thank you, everyone.